So, late last night, early this morning, Nintendo of Japan updated a whole bunch of sales figures for Switch, 3DS, etc. And we're going to focus on Switch, of course, because the 3DS numbers didn't really move a whole lot, and it's hard to discern much from that data other than the fact that 3DS is obviously slowing down in sales. I think it's moved about 72 million units at this point. But Switch is interesting to look at for a number of reasons. Now, some of this data you might have heard on Twitter or other outlets, but some of this data you might not have heard because not everyone's talking about all of the complete picture of details here. And putting in perspective where Switch itself stands 15 months in, because this data runs through June 30th. It does not take into effect anything in July. That is why when you see all these reports out there that say Switch has moved 20 million units, technically the update is not 20 million. It is like 19.67 million. But the idea is that if you count sales in for July, it is obviously already sold over 20 million units. We're just not going to hear about that for another, 2-3 months from now. Anyways, what's interesting, obviously, is first off, comparing Q1 this year to Q1 last year, Switch has sold 1.88 million units, and last year it sold 1.97 million. Now, it's notable, obviously, that this year there was, it's important to note that last year, the 1.97 million also was dealing with a launch period because the system came out a month before the first quarter. So it was still like the honeymoon phase, the launch phase. So 1.88 million to in comparison to a launch period isn't necessarily too bad. And there wasn't obviously those big high selling software titles coming out in that first quarter either, like there was Breath of the Wild, and then Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is one of those titles that came out during that time. What's interesting to note, and this actually shows you the sales power of Switch, is that last year in the same period, which is the first 3 months of Q1 of last year, it sold 8.14 million units of software. This year, in its first quarter, it sold 17.96 million units of software. So nearly 18 million units. That is just amazing. The fiscal year goal is still sitting at 20 million and 100 million software. This is one number that actually isn't being talked about here because it has to combine the sales of two different SKUs. But Nintendo Labo, between the Variety Kit and the Robot Kit, has collectively sold 1.39 million units. That is a very large number for something that I think a lot of people, or at least you saw a lot of people saying that Labo failed. And I've been on record saying that Labo hasn't been as successful as it possibly could be if they would target, say, the education sector. And I actually fully believe that. And Nintendo themselves has actually now holding panels inside Japanese schools for Nintendo Labo. So I think Nintendo even knows, hey, look, if we can hit in that education sector, we could be looking at a massive market here. But that's not to undersell the fact that 1.39 million, that's not bad. And Labos also has a new kit coming out later, the vehicle kit this year. So, I mean, it's not insane to think Labo could sell over 2 million units in its first year on the market, which would not be that bad at all, especially considering that we're talking about products that sell, at $80 or more for these kits. So I'm excited to see what happens with Labo, because I think Labo is a very interesting, very Nintendo-like idea. And while it's not going to appeal to everyone, of course, the market it does appeal to, I think it does so very well. We'll have to see if the sales for that continues, or if it was just, a flash in the pan and it's not, no one's going to buy the new kits that come out. Here's another interesting note. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, which was obviously a Wii U port, sold 1.4 million units. That's insane to me that it sold 1.4 million units. That actually makes it outsell, at least currently, based on the data we have as of December 2014, Tropical Freeze on Wii U. So again, we have another example of a game outselling its prior version on Wii U. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is also a game that has at this point significantly outsold its prior version on Wii U as well. Interesting, Mario Tennis Aces actually debuted with 1.38 million units. That's a lot of units for a Mario Tennis game, and it's partially well deserved in my opinion, because Mario Tennis Aces is the best gameplay I've ever seen. Just the pure act of playing tennis matches in that game is amazing. I think it's lacking in content in other areas, but you know what? 1.38 million. Numbers don't lie, man. That's a lot. I'm part of those numbers, so let's go. More than that, Xenoblade Chronicles 2 numbers have been updated to 1.42 million, and this is before the Torna DLC releases, so that's excellent for Xenoblade Chronicles 2. It continues to set a new bar every single time we get sales updates. It was already Monolith Soft's best-selling title ever at the last update, and now the numbers are even higher. Is it possible Xenoblade Chronicles 2, over the lifetime of it, could hit 2 million? That would be very impressive for a JRPG, especially one exclusive to Switch. And I do want to make a note. There's some other software stuff I want to get to, but I want to jump back to the hardware side for a second. I actually got this information from Kevin Cassidy at Go Nintendo, so I want to thank him. He tweeted out, here's another look at how well the Switch is doing. After approximately 16 months, the PlayStation 4 has sold 20.2 million units worldwide. As for the Switch, the system has sold 19.67 million units in approximately 15 months. So 1 month less of data. Chances are the numbers are pretty close if you include the 16th month. But here's the fun note about this. Not just that Switch is at the same pace of PlayStation 4, but the PlayStation 4 did this with 2 holiday seasons in the first 16 months. The Switch has actually only had 1. Why? Because it launched in March of last year. So Switch is actually on pace to sell what the PlayStation 4 did without a second holiday period, without Pokemon Let's Go and Smash hitting. So, yes, the Switch is selling phenomenally well, and don't be surprised if it actually outpaces the PlayStation 4 soon in terms of from launch until whatever lifetime to date kind of stuff. Whether or not I'm not talking about it outselling PlayStation 4 overall, because PlayStation 4 also released new projections, and they're projecting to sell 96 million total units in terms of at lifetime to date by the end of this current fiscal year. So they're projecting to be pretty close to 100 million units. But what's nice is if Switch is on that kind of pace, if they could somehow keep the momentum going despite a PlayStation 5 or Xbox Scarlet or whatever comes out next, that would be very, very well for Nintendo, because that means Switch itself could be a 100 million unit seller or more. I think Nintendo has already openly stated they think it could do Wii numbers. Maybe they're thinking internally it can do DS numbers. Wouldn't that be insane? Let's hop back into the data, because we have some more sales update for million sellers anyways for Nintendo. So Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has now crossed 10 million units, moving, I believe, an additional 1.13 million units over this current fiscal quarter or the prior one. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is sitting at 10.35 million units. Super Mario Odyssey is still holding fast as the best-selling Nintendo Switch game, added at about another 700,000 units or so to move 11.17 million units. Breath of the Wild has also moved a significant chunk of more, another 700,000 or so. It is now sitting at 9.32 million units just on Switch, well on its way to cross 10 million units just on Switch alone, which is unprecedented for a Zelda game. It's already unprecedented how well this game is done, moving way north of 10 million, probably closer to 11 million if you include Wii U sales, and no Zelda game has ever in the history of the series sold the way that Breath of the Wild is selling. So Nintendo obviously hit the nail on the head when it comes to that game last year. That's the thing. The game is released over a year ago, and it is still moving a significant chunk of games. Splatoon 2 sold about another 740,000 units over the past fiscal quarter, moving its total to 6.76 million, well on its way to cross 7 million. potentially could hit 8 or 9 when it's all said and done. I don't know when this game's going to stop selling, because in Japan it's consistently in the top selling charts. They just released that Octo Expansion DLC. Is there going to be more DLC coming? Are they going to keep these Splatfests going, keep the support going? I have no idea, but Splatoon 2 has clearly become a major hit for Nintendo. 1-2 Switch has updated its figures to 2.45 million units. Very interesting there. Is 1-2 Switch going to become a 3 or 4 million unit seller on the platform? That's very interesting for a game that felt like it should have probably been packed in with Switch. But moving on, this is actually very impressive. ARMS. Yes, ARMS has sold over 2 million units at 2.01. That is so impressive for ARMS. ARMS being a fighting game. Fighting games themselves don't now always cross 2 million. And it's a new IP fighting game. So ARMS has clearly been a success. Don't be surprised to see an ARMS 2 at some point here. Or a Legs or whatever joke people throw out there. Because ARMS is an unmitigated success. I know 2 million might not sound like much to some people. But in the fighting game genre, that's a very, very good number to put up. If you're wondering how well Kirby Star Allies sold, well, 1.89 million. In fact, based on the current pace Kirby Star Allies is on, it might become the best-selling Kirby game of all time. You might think that's a good sign or a bad sign. I don't know. I think Kirby Star Allies is actually pretty good. I think it's a lot of fun. I understand that some people think it's too easy. I don't know. Kirby to me has always been one of Nintendo's easiest games. So is it, I mean, there was Epic Yarn. That was, you couldn't even die in Epic Yarn. You could argue that's easier. I don't know. But I had fun with it. It's definitely fun when you play co-op. So I don't know. The sales are what they are. People are clearly buying it, and it's clearly working. And Hell Laboratories clearly has a hit on their hands. And yeah, that's it. I think that's all the updates for all of the million sellers. But yeah, I'm just really, shocked to see these kind of sales for Nintendo. I mean, should I be shocked? I don't know, but I didn't expect Labo to hit 1.4 million. That's just a lot to me. I didn't expect Tropical Freeze to sell that well. It does suck we don't have any data on how well the Bayonetta 1 and 2 combo did, or Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition. We haven't really got any updates from other companies on that stuff. We have heard from some other financial reports that games, that companies are happy with the sales of their games on Switch, but no one seems to be giving numbers. I love how Nintendo gives us numbers for their games, but other companies don't want to comply and also give their numbers. It doesn't really matter. I mean, at the end of the day, the numbers matter more for the company giving them than for fans looking at it. But it is nice to see the health of these games on Switch, and to see such a healthy growth, like almost 18 million software sold in the first 3 months of this first fiscal quarter. Are you kidding me? A fiscal quarter whose maybe only marquee exclusive game anyways, was basically Kirby and Mario Tennis Aces. Like, those were the marquee games. Both of those, moving, 1.38 million plus units. Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze, a Wii U port, moving 1.4. Clearly, people are buying the software. If you wonder why they keep porting Wii U games, all you have to do is look at things like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe or Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze sales to be like, yeah, obviously they're going to keep porting Wii U games. Why would they not? There's still tons more to port. Don't listen to people that say, oh, they've almost ported all the Wii U games. No, there's still a lot more Wii U games they can port. Just to give you a handful off the top of my head, The Wonderful 101. Let me see here. If they can convince Ubisoft to bring over Zombie U. I know it's already released on other platforms as Zombie, but why not bring that over? New Super Mario Bros. U. There's Pikmin 3. Obviously Twilight Princess and The Wind Waker HD. Mario Maker, another one that they brought to 3DS. Why not bring that to Switch? So that's just off the top of my head. There's even more. I'm not sure if Devil's Third would make sense, given that game wasn't as good as it probably could have been. But there's a lot of Wii U exclusives, or were Wii U exclusives at the time, that still makes sense to bring over. So yeah, I don't know. I'm very happy with these sales. I hope you guys are happy with these sales. It shows that the momentum, despite a first quarter of the year that did not feature anything major, no major releases, no significant sales boost for Switch that we can notably see in any major territory, and yet here it is, right on pace with what the PlayStation 4 was doing and did do in its first 15, 16 months on the market, without a holiday season, missing an extra holiday season in there. So yeah, Switch is doing well. I'm shocked, to be honest. I knew Switch was doing well. I didn't know it was doing this well. Probably well over 20 million units at this point. Might be at 21 here as the end of July. Nintendo sticking to their target, thinking they could hit 20 million unit sales and 100 million software. I think 100 million software is definitely within reach, especially since nothing major has come out yet. There's no Octopath Traveler sales data in here. There's no, Pokemon or Smash sales data in here, of course. There's a lot more sales to come for Switch this year. Anyways, folks, you guys let me know what you think about all these numbers down in the comments below. So much stuff to digest. I am Nathaniel Rufflejans from Nintendo Prime, and if you like this video, you know what to do, and if you dislike the video, that's alright. You can hit that dislike button. Please subscribe for more content if you like what you have heard and saw here, and as always, folks, I will catch you in the next one.